And, so you guys are in Anonymous Killers coming up. Tell us a little bit about your characters and how you got to be these characters.
Sure. We met A.R. Hilton. Lourdes might have met A.R., the director, writer-director, in December of 2013. It was a short film that we did in a very cold...
Yes. Middle of nowhere, Vegas warehouse.
Yeah. And it was 2 days of filming. And it was two characters, I mean, obviously, that were so compelling, I think, for the both of us. Gabby playing this just amazing Latina Lucy Black, and then myself with Romero Scarinelli as Italian mob hitman. It's a sociological thriller. It's a feature film that we finished about 90% of last year, September of 2015, and going to Brooklyn to complete it in September. And then they also have to go to Africa as well to finish one of our co-stars, Patrick Caperty, his stuff as well. So we couldn't be more excited. It's a great script. You know, it's always exciting to work as an actor, but I think one of the great things is when you get a piece like this that's so compelling, and it's not only just the depth of the characters, but also it speaks on society, I think, in so many ways, especially with right now, those who come from privilege, those who don't. On the religious aspect, you know, one of the main quotes is, judgment is God's alone, and I think it's something that the audience is going to need to ask themselves, because I think people would differ in terms of whether God's judgment is for the afterlife and whether man's judgment is for this life, and whether how much you hold to that or not. So I'm really excited to have that release, and it should be 2017 and next year. It should definitely be doing the festivals at that time. So, yeah.
I'm just looking forward to be able to showcase myself in a more, I guess, powerful role. Lucy Black, she showcases a lot of things, like you hear a lot about immigration issues nowadays. So in the film, my mother was an immigrant from Mexico. I was born here in the States. She wanted to give me that life, that my, you know, that American dream, I guess, life. Unfortunately, things didn't go as planned, but yet this role for me, I think, hit close to home. Me being an immigrant, I was born in Mexico. I crossed the border illegally multiple times. You know, I was illegal to about 18 years old. I graduated high school with no papers, and then at 19 years old, we get the call, and they're like, we got the papers, we got the green card, we got everything. So that was like a moment of, you know, of hope for me. So now seeing myself from that point to this point, doing a role like Lucy Black, to me, it's empowering in myself, in my life, and I like to think as myself as like someone that can be like, anybody can do what you want to do. It doesn't matter if you're an immigrant, it doesn't matter if you're born here, if you're born wherever you're born. There's so much power in this film. Within your character, everyone's character. It's not just about why we're doing the killings or why we're doing whatever. There's a reason behind everything we do.
Yeah, I think one of the great things, you know, is that we're so quick in society to throw stones, but we don't really realize the background that people come from. You know, specifically for my character, there was this a mafia hitman, Richard Kuklinski. They called him the Iceman, and he was beaten senseless by his father as he was growing up. And obviously, he has this amazing, you know, he passed away, but he had this amazing documentary on HBO. And half the audience, you look at him as a cold-blooded killer, but then the other half might look at him as say, you know, God, I mean, well, what are your surroundings? What's your background? And then you add into that those who come from privilege in life, to where you might not have gotten that education. You might have grown up in the hood, or you might have grown up in a bad neighborhood. So how much sympathy do I have as the audience as to whether I care about your story or not? And again, some may say, hey, well, you know what? The rules are the rules. I don't care if you came from nothing. You still have to, you know, play the game. But also at the same time, I mean, I think you can't help but to take a look at those who came from extreme privilege and know that obviously they've had a little bit of an easier hand in life, you know. So I think that's what it's going to touch around. We had a star, his name is Nathaniel Gray, and I can't tell you how brilliant this actor is. He doesn't do much PR or publicity, but you will certainly know his name over the next couple of years. But he gave Lourdes and I just so much to work off of. And then the producers, of course, Tim Gagliardo and also Vinny Amsterdam. They've done such a great job with it. But also A.R. Hilton. What I tell people, I mean, Lourdes and I, we've had our own struggle personally in terms of our careers, but I think one of the great things is to be able to collaborate on a project to where you have not only our own struggle and our own fight and your own dream, but also the dream of all of our co-stars as well. You know, Patrick Caperty, Natasha Halabi, and then also Kevin Glickman, our three other co-stars who are just absolutely brilliant. But
it's so fun to watch everybody. It's so fun to see everyone take on their own role and see what they do with it. Because at the end of the day, you read the script, so you have your own idea of what they will bring to the table. But seeing how they grab that character and mold it into what they believe it should be, it's incredible. It truly is incredible.
Yeah. And A.R. Hilton, too. I mean, the writer-director came from his struggle as well, and he's fighting to get this obviously complete, and we have nothing but just the utmost amount of confidence that we'll be able to get this done by September there and be able to show the world next year.
So you said a little bit about the social issues on this movie. Was this something that you looked for when you were reading the script and that enticed you to be part of it?
Well, the thing is, it's funny, with short films, you have to pick and choose. With feature films, as an actor, I mean, if you're getting paid, especially at our level at this point, you take what you can get. But with short films, yes, we're very selective over the fact that, especially if you're working 2 days for peanuts or for $100 and such, you want to make sure that that character is compelling. And also the cast that you're with, it does have the potential to be able to be feature film quality. And I can't tell you how grateful I am. I think it's about, probably a $500,000 budget. But well-deserving, because obviously just an amazing script and also a very solid cast. But we had a lot of fun.
We had a lot of fun, and it's always nice when you actually find a role that you can, I guess, read it and say, this is a part of me. I read this, I felt it, and you can mold yourself and use your own experiences and bring it onto the role, which is also, I think, very helpful.
Yeah.
So how empowering has these roles been for you guys?
I think it's great. I mean, also, I would even speak on behalf of Lourdes as well. I mean, you can certainly talk. I mean, I think it's so important, especially now, even as an Italian-American, Latina, the fact that, even though to a certain extent it feeds into the stereotype, but also when you have these 3 dimensions of these characters, that's what you dream about. I just had a falling out with, a manager and agent, because a lot of times, you get these roles, and I'm so fortunate to fit into one category, but what ends up happening is a lot of times these characters are just so two-dimensional, and to be able to have something to where it's not just this one-dimensional killer.
No,
it's not just this. Hey, we're tough and we're here and we're here to kick ass. But it's not.
We're not tough at all, actually.
Tremendous amount of vulnerability, and when you get to play that, especially me, I grew up with just my mom. To be able to just kind of show the audience that, it just means the world, because you have so many more layers, and I think it just makes the script and the film so much more compelling. So.
Absolutely. Ditto.
So, did you guys get a backstory to your characters, or did you guys make up a backstory to be able to play them a little bit better?
I think you make a backstory with every character that you get. You kind of, try to play in whatever experiences you've been through, and, the Chubbuck method is that alone is you take your own experiences and you try to, figure out what you can bring into your character and make it more realistic. At the end of the day, we're killing people. We have to convince you that we're actually doing this. So how do we do that without making it be like, oh, here's a bag over someone's head, ha ha ha, he's dead. No, how do I truly convince you that I'm getting pleasure out of killing someone? And that you have to go into a state of mind, I think, that is deeper than anyone can understand. I think people sometimes think of acting as a simple thing, but it's not. To convince someone that I'm actually going to kill someone and take pleasure from it, you go into a mental state that you have to work to get out of at the end of the day. It brings up a lot of dark things that I think at the end of the day, everyone has issues, everyone's gone through pain, everyone's gone through things that we put to rest because we don't want to feel. So as an actor, sometimes you have to bring those things back up in order to be able to give the best performance.
I didn't pull any punches on this one. I wanted to train with the best. It was somebody that inspired me so much as a kid. His writer Robert Townsend. He's just such a brilliant actor, such a brilliant director, and we spent a week together just kind of workshopping this character. And man, he put me through some pretty tough stuff. But ultimately, just such a brilliant artist, and it was just such an honor to kind of be with him. And just again, the thing with, especially with Italian mob characters, is it becomes such a routine thing to be able to just kind of, fall into the typical Tony Soprano kind of BS. But I didn't want it to be that. I want it to be something deeper and something stronger. And I can't tell you how privileged I am already. I have to finish up my stuff in Brooklyn, so it's not 100% done yet. But when it is, I know I'll be 100% confident with it. So,
was there any special training or special research that both of you did for this character?
For me, it was Richard Kuklinski, and just talking about, and Robert wanted me to kind of go back to that as well. What is your motivation, in terms of coming from such a, kind of Italian background to just kind of turn into a cold-blooded killer, you know, it's something that you need to think about for a while in order to sell that. Again, I mean, it's very easy to just kind of put these cookie-cutter, you know, cut-out Italian mob characters together, but it's really to just kind of add that extra depth. And again, to be able to, you know, especially Nathaniel Gray, I can't say enough about this actor, to be able, to be able to just kind of bring that vulnerability, and also the script itself, which kind of brings towards our vulnerability as well. It's just, it really just made it a great experience for us. Yeah. So.
I actually was lucky enough to train with Nathaniel Gray. He's the one that set me aside, and we had a few weeks together, and he pretty much did, you know, how I said earlier, the Chubbuck method is he would question me about my own life issues and bring them to light. So therefore he would say, read a line on the script, I would read it out, and then he says, okay, let it go. And he would question me, because almost confuse me, ask me things about my life, and it'd start bothering me, put me in a place where I wasn't comfortable, and then he says, reread that line. So now you're doing it with a completely different emotion. I mean, Nathaniel's incredible.
Yeah, and
he brought out the best in me, I think.
I think one of the great things too is I think for the most part we got to shoot it in sequence during that week. At least you know our scenes together, so we were able to kind of build that. You know, each one of us in terms of character. A lot of times, you know, with filming, I mean, you don't have that option. You know, you have to film out of sequence, but at least within the warehouse itself, we were able to kind of go from start to finish and build those characters. And yeah, we're really excited about it there.
So this sounds like it was an intense filming shoot. How do you pull yourself out of that character after each day?
Tequila. No, I'm just kidding.
I used to study at the Actors Studio in New York, and Mimi Turk, she was a Broadway actress on Fiddler on the Roof. She used to say, you take an anecdote, and so whether it's happy music or you go to see a happy film, you know, and obviously I have my two beautiful sons at home as well. I'm able to do it, but no, without question, it certainly sticks with you for a while. There was some stuff where we just got to a certain intense point where it will stick with you for a day or two, but also that's when you know you do good work too, you know, and that's what your job is to be able to sell that. My God, I mean, Daniel Day-Lewis, I mean, I think he takes about a month or two to be able to recover from some of his stuff, but even just like I said, just a couple of days to be able to kind of ease out of it. And again, we just have such a great camaraderie, the five of us off screen as well, so we're able to kind of hang out there a little bit afterwards and then just kind of, you know, take it a little easier. Yeah,
just I guess refocusing your energy. You know, take what you did, grasp it, and then let it go, and then move on to the next thing. It's all about mental strength at the end of the day, you know? I mean, if you sit and dwell and you say, oh my gosh, I did this, I did this, I did this, you're going to sit there all day long.
Yeah.
Let it go. On to the next one.
But, I mean, again, I can't say enough about Nathaniel Gray. I mean, really, just the level of intensity to where he brings you there, that definitely stays with you for a few days, because he does not, I mean, it's one of those more or less, I mean, you know, there's different styles of acting, but he certainly was able to stay in character even when we were off screen as well.
Which is almost terrifying.
Yes. Yeah, I guess.
Almost terrifying.
A few times you'd be like, call me? It's like, no, you don't have to go. Yeah, you don't have to call me. It's okay. Just, you know, just leave me alone.
Coffee? I'm like, with who? Well, there's more than two of us, right?
Yeah, just a brilliant actor. He's just kind of anti-system to where he's just not a huge fan of obviously all the press and everything around it. He's a true artist to where it's just really ultimately just about the work, and as it should be. You know, his talent really just speaks for itself, which I really admire. I wish I can do a little bit more of that, but you know, at the same time, and you have to market and promote yourself as well. So
it seems like you guys are very passionate about what you guys do. What brought on that passion to be an actor?
You know, it's funny. I've been asked this before. I think, you know, the world is so politically correct. I mean, all the corporate jobs. I used to be a restaurant manager. I used to manage a nightclub down the street for so many years. No matter what job you have, in the corporate world, I mean, you cannot emote. I mean, ultimately, I mean, you could be happy, but really, I mean, I think we have all these emotions in us. I mean, I think there's a wolf in each and every one of us, and I think in the real world, it's very difficult, especially now, it's so politically correct to be able to bring that out, to express yourself. And even at a young age, you know, my first was a high school musical I did, and I was able to feel that adrenaline and feel that power, and I got it through sports a little bit, but I wasn't, obviously, I wasn't an exceptional athlete, but to be able to get that on film, with the power and the drive and the energy, she's got Latin blood, I've got Italian blood, so
Fire.
you got a lot of fire in there, and you know, you have to have a venue to be able to let it out, and obviously in a peaceful, imaginary world, and I think that really is just the adrenaline itself, the work. I mean, where you just, if a good script comes along, I mean, sometimes again, if it's $100 or $200 a day, it's just
it's not about the money.
It's not about the money. Yeah,
it's about how we're able to read something and say, oh my goodness, this can completely, I can become this.
Yeah.
And being able to become something that you're not, in a sense, is so empowering.
Yeah.
It truly, truly is empowering.
It was a thing, what advice you have for aspiring actors and whether they should give it up at a certain point or not. It's not a question you ever should ask yourself, because if you have to ask yourself that question, whether you're not succeeding or not, then it's not for you, because it really has to be something that really just comes from the heart and comes from the soul, and it really should not be about the money at all, so, yeah.
I think once you realize that you're not doing it for the money is when you realize that it's a true passion, that you're truly doing it because you want to be here. Acting isn't an easy career. You go into acting, you're going to be broke 90% of the time until you get that one thing that booms you. Mm-hmm. So are you willing to sacrifice everything, including family, time, everything, in order to be where you want to be? Yeah. Yes. D, all the above. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So even though this was intense, how did you guys unwind and have fun while shooting this?
Oh, man.
Oh, that's a...
We had a few unexpected outtakes.
Yeah.
There was one time
electric shock.
There was one time, just in particular, we still have to have fun. Of course, you can't get too off the ball. But there was just one time where, obviously, if there's close-ups on Lourdes or there's close-ups on me, you kind of need to feed each other. And there was just this one time where I wasn't ready. There was this one thing that happens to me, and I just wasn't ready. But it was nice that we had those little breaks in action, so it wasn't all just drama and darkness throughout the whole thing. But I just recall that one specific instant where she looked over at me and she was waiting for my cue, but I didn't know it was on
It was his cue, so I looked at him and he didn't do it, and kind of time paused, and then he just started doing it after. I'm like, no, it's not. The moment is over.
Timing is off, but it was funny that I basically was trying to play catch up, and she.
You had to be there. You had to be there.
So. But it was great. Everybody had their own different personality, but everyone's just so genuine. Kevin Glickman, Patrick Capperdine again, Natasha Halabi. We were all together, and pretty much we were stagnant. We couldn't move too much. I can't give away too much of the story, but it was a situation where we were all just kind of tied, and we weren't moving around that much. But it was just great to just have that camaraderie amongst all of us there. It was downtown LA, and I'll never forget it. And like I said, hopefully we'll be able to finish this in September and knock it out of the park. So,
how do you sell this movie to people who haven't heard of it yet?
I think AR just again has come up with just that brilliant quote, which is, God's judgment is for the afterlife, man's judgment is for this life. And again, I think the beautiful thing, when we screen it, to our hometown audience, is I think really that's what you're going to present to the audience, is that everyone, depending on your level of religion in life, is going to have a different interpretation of that. Some people, again, will say, well, I don't care if you murdered my daughter, I forgive you. Whereas, I know from the Italian and Latino, culture, I don't want to generalize, but it certainly would be a different story. Whether you would, I'm not trying to, just inspire crime, but also at the same time, I think there's a lot of people on earth who say, no, you take what's yours in this world, and God's judgment is for the afterlife, and we do our own thing, so... I think that would be the way. And again, hopefully, I call it almost like a horror breakfast club, because I think it is sort of a sociological experiment in a way, where you have all of these people from all different walks of life who are able to kind of give the audience a little something different. But it's very similar to Breakfast Club, but obviously in a darker way, in terms of just kind of focusing on, not so much the jock or the preppy guy and this and that, but a little bit more of,
normal everyday people.
Normal everyday people in life that will feed into all different demographics, so it's really going to play to a good audience. I think AR did mention somebody at Universal is already interested. We're not worried about the distribution right now. AR, what he wants to do once we complete is go ahead and just make sure it takes the right festival route. Tribeca, it'd be so great to be able to bring this back to New York, and then Sundance and Toronto and Cannes and all that kind of stuff. So Lourdes and I will certainly have a lot of fun traveling with it and promoting it over the next year there. So,
other than Anonymous Killers, what else do you guys have lined up?
I can't release it 100% yet, but rumored to be in a pilot through Sony in Toronto, hopefully later on this year. There's a channel called Investigative Discovery, and I have a really nice role as a cop coming up, a detective. It's a TV show called True Nightmares. So really excited about that. I just finished Midnight Man, which just aired on Amazon. It released March 1st, and it starred Vinnie Jones, William Forsythe, and I was just happy to be with those amazing character actors, this beautiful executive producer and star, Brenna Kelly, who did an amazing job, T.C. Hamilton, Will Kemp, who had the privilege of working with him on Van Helsing years ago. He starred. So I had that going, but really excited about this pilot and just hoping the ink is jotted down here in the next couple weeks there. So.
Yeah, for sure. I actually just did a spec trailer for a film called We the People, and it's kind of, people questioning the government, which is a lot of fun because once you do that, all hell breaks loose. And then my next step, I think, is I'm going to start going into telenovelas, which is something that I'm really passionate about. Being Latina, I want to be able to be, represent for the Latina people. So that's definitely my next step. I'm working with a lot of people right now who have my back and believe in me, and Telemundo's next, so here we come.
I've been so privileged. I just signed with Lourdes as a manager there, and so excited to get started in a new future together. So yeah, it should be exciting.
That's awesome, but usually people will start in telenovelas and move to the U.S. Why you want?
There is nothing like Latino fans. Truly, truly, honestly, there is nothing like Latino fans at the end of the day. And I believe that because I've heard it from people who are already at the top, and they say, look, I have fans and I love all my fans, but to have Latino fans, those are true fans. They follow you in everything that you do, and they support you in everything they do. The same way they judge you in everything you do. But at the end of the day, you have to start somewhere. And if I can venture to Latino and make my way into this, I mean, I'm with it. I'm with it. At the end of the day, you have to do whatever it takes in order to become what you want to become.
Is there a dream role that any of you guys have?
Oh man.
That's always a fun one.
I always, a couple of years ago, I got the international headlines. I just always would love to sink my teeth into Lex Luthor. That would just really be such a dream, especially with the Justice League. And I'll tell you, I wasn't a huge fan of the last one, so hopefully they'll be rebooting it in 10, 20 years. And if we become a name, that would certainly be the dream role there. It would be fun to play Lex, yeah.
I always look up to Salma Hayek, Penelope Cruz. Like, I look at these women, I aspire to be like them. Bandidas is something killer. For me, I would love to play either like something in the comedy sense or something more in the bandida sense. It's hard, I think, as a woman, because you're always going to be put out there as, the hot Latina. No, there's so much more to a beautiful woman, a beautiful Latin woman than just a hot Latina, So I don't know, something I guess that makes me uncomfortable at the end of the day. Something that isn't me every day.
So what's your favorite genre to act in?
It's nice to go towards the darkness.
I was going to say the same thing. Drama.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, comedy. You ask yourself why you become an actor, and it's like, well, if everything was hunky dory, I don't know if I would need it. So it's just nice to be able to let it out. I think we all need to.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to be an actor. You don't need to, but you need to be an artist in some level to be able to get out. I think there's just so much tension in society these days, and I think we have to get it out. But for me, in terms of performing wise, I think it's a drama because you're able to really scratch that itch, I guess you would say. So, yeah.
I would have to agree. Drama, definitely, just because it is a release. It's a huge release, and you get to, again, bring up everything that's been asleep and showcase it and release it, and then just go back to normal. So it's almost like therapy.
Yeah.
It's therapeutic to be able to release that.
There's a show in New York. It's called Blue Bloods. It's still on with Tom Selleck, and I remember it was for a guest star, and it was a callback for a guest star audition. But I'll tell you, I got on the street in New York. And I just took this deep breath, and it was funny. It didn't matter whether I got it or not, but it was just, the role itself was this Russian murderer, but it was just, to be able to come out, it was just such a release. And it's something that I always think about, but it's something that I get all the time. I mean, anytime that, you're in a really good, juicy, dramatic piece, whether, again, it's for an audition or whether you're filming it itself, it's just an amazing feeling there, so.
Is there anybody you would want to work with?
I've already worked with my my idol, Chaz Palminteri. He's an Italian-American. Again, we all relate to our own culture. And I had the privilege of working with him on Dr. Vegas in 2004. Of course, my dream as a kid was always Harrison Ford. I mean, he was just the quintessential, American hero there. It's just absolutely amazing. Right now, again, we're just so happy to work and just to, no matter what the projects are, just to continue to keep hustling. Because I think as you continue to work, obviously we continue to grow as artists, and it's just such an obviously amazing feeling. So,
absolutely, I think for me, I'm gonna stay on the Latin side. Salma Hayek, Penelope Cruz. I would love to work side by side to them. I would. You can learn a lot, I think.
If you guys weren't acting, what would you be doing?
Oh God, unfortunately, I love food.
I'd probably be fat,
yes,
rolling around somewhere, eating donuts every day.
Yeah. I'd love to start a concept. I love comfort food. I mean, I hate to admit it, but I've never been into drugs or alcohol. But food, unfortunately, is my thing. And I've got my little geeky Yelp app, where I like to bookmark places and stuff. But I always talk with my kids about, if we ever hit it big, making something fun, like a fun concept. So many of these things. We just went to this fun place in New York City called Black Tap, and they've got these $15 milkshakes. They're like a mile high. But it's just, just that kind of creativity to where I'd be able to kind of get that creative aspect of my life out through baking and cooking and such. So
I honestly think I would be a restaurant owner, a club owner, but like a salsa club owner. Food again is I can eat. If I didn't need to be a certain type of look,
yeah.
I would not be this look.
Yeah.
I would be so comfortably a hermit in my house, eating all day long, for sure.
She's so good. She's so disciplined in terms of getting to the gym all the time. I have to I go in and out of following her because it's like so. No, I'm like, oh no, I can't.
As you're eating a donut, she's in the gym.
Can I just have my pizza in peace? And she's doing CrossFit or whatever. So
Where can people find you on social media?
Dominic Pace. Yeah, if you search Dominic Pace, whether it's Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, they can find me there. Yeah, absolutely.
Mine is Lourdes Gabriela Lopez. Everywhere.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you very much. This has been awesome.
Oh, thank you. Thanks so much for having us. We appreciate it. And best of luck to you as well.